Okay, everybody, I think we'd like to get started. I know people are going to be wandering in as we progress. And I'd like to welcome you all to our very first IHSS consumer training for the certification intensive, we're calling it. But SECA from its inception had as our mission statement to train and educate advisory committee members. And this is the first year that we've really done it the way we had wanted to do it all along. So I hate to tell you, but you're our guinea pigs. And we really, really, really want your evaluations at the end. At the end of this booklet, there is an evaluation form. And it's going to be very, very important to us that you let us know whether you think we covered what you wanted, if there's some things left out that you think we need to cover, and how we did. Since you are, quote, the first, it's vitally important that we get this information. Another housekeeping point, you should all have a yellow binder, a yellow booklet. That's the booklet for this particular session. It's in the back of the room if you don't have it. There's also a sign-up sheet back there. Because when we did the sign-ups, we didn't specifically ask you if you were coming to this session. We really don't know who's coming. And we really would like to give you something for participating. And if we don't know who's here, that's going to be a little tough. So if you could please sign up in the back on the sign-up sheet. Make sure we can read your name. It's legible. If you want your name, put it on something that makes any sense. Let's see, any other issues? Is that you, Mark, way at the back of the room? All right. Try to wiggle your way up to the front if you can, Mark. Yeah, they made these tables a little too close together this time. Okay, we're going to do the agenda that you have is a little not quite in the right order, so in your handouts. The agenda's right, but the handouts aren't quite right. First, I'd like to, many of you know, but I'd like to introduce Janet Heinrichs Canterbury. Janet is from Los Angeles, sits on their advisory committee. She has been incredibly involved for years and years and years in in-home support services activities, and even before the public authorities were instituted. Mark Beckwith on my left is from Alameda County. He sits on their advisory committee. Mark has also been, for many, many years, very involved in IHSS, was very involved in the process of the implementation of AB 1682 and that whole process that went on, all the processes that went on before that. And Janet and Mark are going to talk to you first about the passionate part of all of you being on advisory committees and what you've committed to. And then they're also going to talk a little bit about the history of IHSS and the public authority development.
Yeah, when you asked me to come here and speak, I started thinking like, I started to remember, because I don't really keep a journal or any records or anything, like, how long have I been doing this now? But I guess it was like the early 90s when the whole public authority thing started up. A bunch of people in the disabled community were brainstorming because attendants get paid minimum wage for years and years, and it seemed like it would always be minimum wage, and there's no way they're ever going to raise the wages, and it was getting really difficult to find attendants. And so, without the unions helping to improve wages for workers, I didn't know how we'd ever do it, none of us did. But we had this idea that we could get, right, the state was paying for everything. It wasn't getting any federal money for home care. And we knew they were eligible for it. So, but what we didn't want to happen is a bunch of new regulations and to throw out what we had, which was a system where we could hire who we wanted and run our own lives. And the whole theory of independent living, which is the reason I moved to California from Pennsylvania to begin with, when I transferred as a student at the University of California. So we got the public authorities started. I remember we sat down with the union. People had concerns that the unions got involved, that they would take over, and they would start changing things. And we didn't want the federal government to come in and start dictating that we couldn't have our system that we had. And when we thought we had it all worked out, and we sat down with the union at the table, and we put all of our cards on the table, and we came to an agreement, and we realized, well, the union doesn't really want to change the system other than improve the benefits for the workers, which of course makes it easier to find and keep attendants. And so I didn't know how we would do it, but we managed to get it done. And even though we did it, we still didn't have, we had a way to have our registry and the other things that the public authorities do, but the wages were still low, and we kept working on it. And when Gray Davis was governor, we finally got through and got the wages increased and benefits for the first time. And life started to get easier, and it was always a struggle. Every year at budget time, somebody tried to pull something. Someone got the idea, gee, we could have corporations hire attendants and send them to disabled people's homes, the contract mode. And so that was very scary because it looked like they were going to be able to pull it off. But in the end, we were able to stop them. And really, it's been the public authority and the people on the advisory boards that were really, it helps you stay in touch and stay on top of what's happening in the state and gives you resources to act on it and talk to politicians and explain to them what needs to be done. And the people that they have, I mean, we're really the experts. We're the ones that really know what it's like and what you have to go through. And when you talk to people in Sacramento, you realize these people, a lot of them don't have a clue. And after the term limits, it got even more difficult because all the incoming legislators had to start from scratch and learn, like, what is IHSS, and learn that, yeah, all this is saving money because it's a lot cheaper than locking people in nursing homes. And I think being on the advisory board, when you get on the advisory board, and you first go to meet with politicians and go to Sacramento, it's very, people are very nervous, and I always found the key to it is just to relax and be yourself and tell your story and explain to them in your own words, and don't worry about trying to sound like a lobbyist or important or whatever. I think the heartfelt speakers that are emotional and to speak from their heart is a lot more convincing to politicians than trying to appear to be like a lobbyist or a lawyer or whatever. Just be articulate and really the public authority before, the IHSS system before the public authority was a total vacuum of people that really understood what was going on. It was all pretty loose, and you could find out from your friends or independent living center or whatever how you function within the system and get what you need, but it gets hard at those wages. And so what we do is very important. And it's good to know who your allies are, work with the other organizations. SECA kind of unifies the public authority advisory boards, and CAPA is the Association of Public Authorities. And we have a lot of friends and good people in Sacramento that can help us, but really it's us that is the driving force behind it, And the people that really understand the system the best are the consumers and the workers. And it's very important that we stay vigilant and keep on top of what's happening, because there's always something coming up, whether it's fingerprinting or surprise home visits. That's what they're pulling on us now. I remember years ago they were trying to start this fingerprinting thing, and really my concern is that I remain in charge of me, and I hire who I want. And if I hire somebody that did something in the past and they turn things around and they're a good attendant, I don't want a stranger who doesn't know me or doesn't know the attendant or know anything about it just arbitrarily say, oh no, you can't hire him. And so this has been going on for a long time. My worst nightmares are starting to come true this year with all of this paranoia and fraud accusations that are unfounded. And I remember once, though, a very empowering moment for me is when an assemblyman named Mr. Woods had a fingerprint bill, which I didn't like at all, and we met with him and he worked out a deal with one of the legislative committees, and he amended his bill to make it acceptable so that we wouldn't oppose it. And when he got to that committee, he changed it back again and did one more committee to go through, and that was headed by Carol Migden of San Francisco. And I was at the end of the day, and I've been trying to reach people, and I just went by her office. And trying to go on my way out the door, I had to wait my way out of the building. I stopped by her office, and I just happened to catch her in the hallway. And I was able to talk to her in person for a few minutes and explain what he had pulled, how we changed the bill and then switched it back again. And she just said, well, you can forget that bill, consider it dead right now. And she killed it in her committee. And I felt so good. And those are not very often. And sometimes you go do all this stuff, and you wonder, is it really doing any good? But then you have a moment like that, and you realize, yeah, we do a lot of good. I try to think what would happen to this program if it wasn't for the consumers and the workers and the stuff that the public authorities do. And it's really good to get people that are there to speak up for the other people who don't have the resources of the people on the advisory board. And unless you reach out to the people in your community and keep them involved and try to get them involved in the public authority, because we can all make a difference.
Thank you, Mark. I'll tell you, Mark, and how many people here know Mark and Blaine? Couple. How many people know Hale Zukas? And Ed Roberts? Anybody know who Ed Roberts is or was? Okay. So if you can, I can continue to draw the little picture with a few more details built on what Mark was saying. In 1991, in October, the governor, who at that point was the Duke, cut IHSS by 12%. I believe the hours were cut. Across the board, everybody lost 12 or 20%. I can't remember what it was. And then there was this thing that Mark mentioned, which was there was this threat from the managed care companies, the companies that provided home care in a managed care framework